after the tax deadline. So he doesn't even start them until after.
I guess you get an extension later,
But every year,
Are you sore, Lee? Are you sore?
the therapist got there, when I got home, I got in the house, changed my clothes, went to the bathroom and got some glasses, fixed me something to drink, sat down, and the therapist showed up. So I had physical therapy right after getting in the house. So I'm a little,
But you had a pretty good workout this morning, just, that's.
yeah.
Anyway, that's
But
good.
she had me walking through the house this afternoon with no, walking by myself,
Oh,
no
really?
cane, no
Wow.
walker.
That's great, that's a big improvement, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a long ways in 3 weeks.
It is.
Was this yours from earlier?
That's it, that's from lunch, you throw that away. Fine.
Guess that'll teach you to quit drinking cheap vodka.
Hmm?
It'll teach you to quit drinking cheap whiskey. And drink the expensive stuff.
That was one thing I very seldom did when I was drinking. I didn't drink cheap. And got a taste for that.
For the good stuff.
Morgan, do we have an agenda? Behind the public hearing tab. It's not a separate agenda. It's this right here.
How's Hope tonight? Just fine, can't complain.
Took your dad a sandwich today?
Yes, indeed. Fish sandwich.
Fish sandwich?
And he wants me to bring him another one when I leave here tonight.
Do I?
He wants another one when I leave here tonight.
You got 7 o'clock.
He said, I said, you want supper? He
You
said,
got
no,
7
just,
o'clock.
there's a peanut butter jelly now, bring me a fish sandwich. All right.
Hopefully he can,
So he's still eating well.
whichever public hearing this is,
He eats good.
this is a second sheet, Richmond Hill, Mulberry Nutrition, nutrients, drinking swamp and forage church.
Has everybody signed up that wants to sign up at this point?
Yeah, I asked him.
I'm not gonna take him.
I called
Okay.
everybody
Iced
that's
coffee,
coming.
because I'll keep him up
Okay.
tonight.
Hopefully he
I mean, he wants vanilla iced coffee.
I'll do that.
They have it for breakfast, he did 3 times a day.
Y'all ready?
Click on Richard.
Huh?
Click on Richard.
Richard?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. This time I'll call the meeting back to order. Before we get started, I'd like to read this little statement. With the recent spread of COVID-19, we ask that all attendees tonight's meeting, regardless of vaccination status, wear a mask for the duration of the meeting per CDC and Health Department guidelines. For speakers signed up to speak as part of the public hearing, you may remove your mask while at the podium only. Okay. All right, Morgan, you have the floor.
All right, good evening, everyone. Tonight we're here for 5 public hearings on the 5 IPS applications. And with us tonight is Scott Aronson, as part of IPS, to give a brief presentation to the board and to the public on the IPS applications. And so I'd like to welcome Scott to the podium.
Hello, good to see you all again. I prepared a little bit of a presentation, and kind of the main point of my presentation is to address some of the concerns that we learned about, both through me calling a lot of the residents and just general concerns that sometimes people have about solar. So I guess we could start.
Scott, there's a clicker there under that,
All right, let's see if I can work this.
yeah, just turn it on the side and you should be able to click through.
So obviously you know a little bit about our company. We've been around since '91, which for solar companies it's like 100 years for for any other companies. I don't, yeah. So we've been around since '91. Bottom line, we've done this type of stuff before. Our bread and butter is community solar, which is exactly what these 5 projects are. And we hope to have a decent sized footprint in Virginia. An example of one of the many projects. I really like this particular project, which is why I included it. So, I have 2 videos. The first video that we have, it talks from the landowner's perspective. And this is one of the many projects that we've developed in Minnesota, to give you a little bit of an idea. Then afterwards, I have a kind of a time lapse where you can see exactly what these projects look like when they're installed. If I get it to work, let's see.
We are on 19th.
Oh, let's go back.
We are on 19 acres, cheese and buffalo ranch. We're in Center City, Minnesota, which is about 6 miles from the border with Taylor's Falls and St. Croix Falls on the St. Croix River. I've always been very conscious of burning fossil fuels and things like that. I'm from a large family, so I have a lot of nieces and nephews and grandkids and stuff. So it's that, and it's just for humanity. It just doesn't make sense to keep polluting the atmosphere. So in 2011, we started investing in solar to help offset our electricity. We started with Eric and IPS, and we got the panels up to 2012. I feel it's more than paid for itself already. And then after we had that up, I was approached again by IPS and asked if I was interested in putting in a solar garden. So other people could have solar panels where they maybe couldn't or didn't want the panels on their property, they could be on my property. And I would lease them the land and then put up a solar array. So I thought this was a very good idea, not only for me, but it would be good for the environment. It's kind of a feel-good situation. So now we put in this 5 megawatt solar array, and we have local subscribers, businesses, even school districts, Salt Lake has subscribed. They get bill credits from Excel. Now that it's built, it's going to be around for 25 years producing electricity, so it's going to be good for the whole community. Working with IPS and Great, which was one of the first ones we did here, so they had a lot of questions to answer, and we always got the answers we needed, and we moved forward, and we are going to produce a lot of electricity. So that's kind of exciting. It's a good use of my land, I think, to help society.
So some important things to note, and you'll see it more on the next video. The big thing is that we don't use cement footings into the ground, so it's just essentially, you have I-beams that are essentially put down on a racking system. Then on the racking system, you have the solar panels. And we'll get into a little bit later in the discussion about what are actually in the solar panels and some of the vegetation that's underneath it. But for now, you could kind of see just exactly what it looks like when it's built. But also, Evan is here with me. Evan Carlson, which you guys have talked to before, he's here remotely, I think. So, hi, Evan.
Hey, I'm here. I'm actually on vacation, and I couldn't get out, but I'm here in case, Scott, you have any questions for me, and anybody else has questions more about the company, but Scott is prepared to present, so I'll be here if you need me.
Perfect. All right. So here's that video now. I can figure this out. Pretty much a basic 5 megawatt project. I think, actually, it might be a little bit bigger, it might be about 6 or 7 megawatts project, but it's roughly around the size of the larger projects that we want to do. Oh, so, when I had the opportunity to talk with some folks, and I saw people's main concerns, they had 7 different concerns, which are pretty much really 4 concerns, written out 7 they written it out 7 different ways, but it really boils down to 4 concerns. And you know, we're kind of prepared to go over and talk about it. The most important thing is you have a couple different options in terms of what type of panels that you use, and based off of what we're allowed to use, based off of our the rules, and based off of what we always use, we use something called monocrystalline solar panels. So there's polycrystalline and monocrystalline. Polycrystalline is used about 10% of the time. The majority of the time now is use something called monocrystalline. So to kind of demystify what these panels actually are, there's an aluminum frame with tempered glass, a encapsulant over it, some solar cells. These solar cells here are just silicone mostly, with and those lines through them are mostly silver. Again, with another encapsulant underneath it, a back sheet, and then a junction box. So, like I said, the main ingredients of the solar projects are of the solar panels are silicone, silver, and aluminum. There's additional wiring and stuff along those lines, but they're no different than the wiring that's already throughout most of the county for electrical lines. So they're also warranted for a minimum of 25 years. So that means that at the end of the 25-year period, they're warranted by the manufacturer to have, I think, at least 90% of the original efficiency that they had now. Otherwise, they get automatically replaced. They're the same panels used at the North Pole, designed for extreme hail and wind conditions. They're silent. They produce no glare. In fact, the point of the solar panels is to absorb light. And when you absorb light, it can't produce glare. If it produces glare, it's not being as efficient as it possibly could. And most importantly, it has a melting point in excess of 1,000 degrees Celsius. So my understanding is that an average grass fire, or residential fire, burns at about 800 degrees Celsius. And these are essentially designed to withstand hotter temperatures than that. And there was actually, you know, what came up at one of the meetings was something about a grass fire that occurred in Essex County. And what I at the time at the Planning Commission meeting, I didn't have the ability to address it because I didn't know that it happened. But since then, we've included the fire report for you guys. Since then, I had the chance to talk with the chief, and we talked a lot about what happened and what we could do to do a kind of a better job in making sure that didn't happen again. And again, this was a different company that did that. This was not our company. And the main thing, and the most surprising thing, first of all, was that during the entire incident of it's just a regular grass fire, the panels actually survived the grass fire, which kind of proves that you know they could survive. I mean, and the incident took about 4 or 5 hours of the grass fire burning. And the panels survived that, which I think is great. In fact, if you look at the report, it shows that the panels were still tracking for the entire time, and then eventually it went the other way. But when I say survive, I don't know if the panels needed to be replaced, but they didn't blow up. There was no explosions. It's just a regular grass fire. And that, of course, that project didn't have any type of plan or knock boxes for the fire department to be able to get into the project, which we're not only required, but we always have. So we'll have knock boxes, codes, and a safety switch and stuff along those lines. And if you have any other questions, I could talk to you a little bit more about kind of how it differs, and we make sure that didn't happen. But that Essex County fire is kind of one of the worst case scenarios. And the worst case scenario was, you know, was a grass fire. And I mean, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't notable. Things didn't blow up. Houses didn't explode. You know, there was no toxicity, no lead, nothing crazy happening. It's just silicon and silver. So that's one of the main concerns that people have. And The second one that people have is on property values. And the one thing that I can't tell you is that people like looking at them all the time. So because they don't like looking at them, we have a screening plan essentially, where we put up evergreens or really whatever essentially that you like or that you guys want in order to make sure that they're screened. There's several different studies. Most of them, some of them show property values actually going a little bit up. I don't necessarily believe that property values are going to go up. Others show property values going down by approximately 1 to 2%. I think that when it's properly screened, which is the big, it's really negligible, and I don't think that that statistics show that there's really a significant decrease in property value. And I've included a lot of those studies, and I might have a couple more for you as well. But again, the big thing to note when you're looking at studies too is to see, are there screening? Because when solar panels were new, a lot of times there was no screening. And if you're going to look at a property value report when there's no screening in front of the panels, it might not show you the same thing as these, which are screened or will be screened within a period of a couple of years once the plant's grown in. Now the big thing that we want to talk about is what's under the panels. So this is a good example of what's under the panels. It's something called the pollinator pledge. The pollinator pledge replaces current farmland with a pollinator-friendly native seed mix, and I believe this is regulated by the state. They had something called a pollinator smart manual, a vegetation monitoring plan, a site scorecard. I don't know if I sent you a copy of all those. I tried to kind of limit. I knew I already sent you a lot of stuff, so I tried to kind of limit it. But if you'd like a copy of any of that type of stuff, I could also send that to you if you don't already have it. So the question is, what happens? What about erosion, right? And there's beautiful farmland there now. Is this really, is this worse than farmland? And I certainly don't have any problem with farmland because we all have to eat, and so I don't want to make it seem like I do. But this picture kind of gives you a good example of the differences between what we want to do and how it is now. So when you have farmland, first of all, you use chemicals to make sure that, and you're allowed to make sure that pests and wildlife and animals don't get into the crop. Some of those dangerous pesticides, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name. And again, I don't want this to come off at all as me taking a dig on farmland, because we need farmland. And that's just, we all have to eat, and that's just a part of it. But the point I'm trying to make is that the pesticides in regular crops are significantly more dangerous than turning underneath the panels into into a deep-seated native root mix, even with the panels that are on top of it, which are mostly silicon, silver, and mostly silicon, silver, and aluminum. So this is a good example. On the left, it shows what happens when you plant a deep-seated root mix, and what that means. And then on the right of that same picture is how far average crops go down in the soil. So what this does is this creates a significantly deeper root system. It helps prevent erosion. It slows down the velocity of water runoff. It improves permeability. In addition to that, there's no pesticides. We're very big on not using any pesticides on the land. No human waste for fertilizing, which means it's going to smell. I'm not saying it smelled before, but if you had any concerns about that on your land, it's going to smell a lot better without that. All you're going to see is, trees and wild native seed underneath it. So the last thing that people kind of ask is, what are the benefits to the local residents? And there's quite a few. The first one is better electricity service. So I don't know much about if you guys have any electric problems in this area, but there's always an advantage between having a localized power production facility. It means less power outages for residents, mainly because the lines between the project and the substation are generally updated. Also, there's an ability to subscribe to the community solar project and save money. And I could explain to you a little bit more about what community solar is, but I think Evan did a good job of doing that last time. But if you have any additional questions about that, either Evan or I can talk about that. And significant economic development. So that's about $2 million spent per megawatt. So if it's a 5 megawatt project, that's $10 million, and that's just the cost that we're paying to develop the land. That doesn't include all the costs that the contractors are paying in terms of, you know, eating at local restaurants, spending money on, you know, on local contractors and all the type of stuff that happens when you have that. And of course, in addition, there's tax benefits. I think Morgan or Hope can give you the exact numbers on the additional money, and I believe that money goes to the public safety, but I'm not sure about that, so I would have to double check on that. So those are kind of so those are kind of the benefits outside of all this great stuff I showed you about what happens underneath the land and all that other type of stuff. So before I get to the project, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about why we selected these. And we start to give you, I want to give you a little bit of a perspective. We started with about 110 projects. Of those 110 projects, what needs to generally happen in order for a project to proceed is that first thing we need to do is get a scoping call from Dominion. We get it, and then after we get a scoping call, we have a better idea of what the costs are associated with, about whether or not we can build. And then after that, we have, they do what's called a study. These studies take about 6 to 8 months. Now, they're only studying what they call A or B projects. And instead of saying, okay, we have all the projects now, we're going to study them all at once, they only study one project at a time, which means that they're going to study A, and it's going to take 6 to 8 months to study that before they even look at B. And then they're going to look at B, and they're going to take 6 to 8 months to study that before they look at any other project. And we don't even know after B what the order is of the project. It's just called a subsequent project. So the reason I'm telling you this is, you know, out of those 100 projects that we have, or maybe close to 110 leases that we signed up, right now we have the ability to build these in less than 10. Now I'm hoping that number will increase over time, but right now we have a chance of only building in less than 10. So the big thing I want to get across is that, you know, we don't always have a choice on where we build them. Our goal is to find the best sites that are possible to build them, but sometimes, you know, it's very hard to get something that's right in a good spot for interconnection, right where they have substation capacity, where there's no issues with the lines, where there's stuff like backflow to the transmission line and all sorts of other technical stuff that I'm probably not even qualified to talk to you about. So out of those 105, these are the ones that we have. And I think that they're all pretty good sites. The first site that we have is called Junkyard. I think you guys call it Richmond Road. You can see over here the closest setback, and I think that this is one of, out of all of them, this is the least contested site. You can see that there's about, I think, at least 300 feet from the nearest any type of house, and it's pretty well screened. We have project, actually maybe at this point, you guys have already seen all the projects, so maybe what I could do at this point is ask Evan first if I missed anything, and maybe we could go through projects 1 through 5 and see if you guys have any questions. You should also note that this wasn't a static thing. It wasn't like we just submitted a project and said we're done, we're not making any changes. We've made several different changes, both by request and because of, you know, more of the, you know, based off of what we can build. And we're willing to, you know, as long as we can have the project still be viable, we're willing to continue to work with everyone and make changes. The only other thing I'd say is that our best shot at getting anything done is if we could get all of the permitting done by October. That's when the program opens. Project 1 and Project 2 are A's and B's. And what that means is that if we get all the permitting done, we have the best chance of developing all those projects. If for some reason one of these projects does not get approved, we have to take it removes it from the line, and then we'll probably go to the subsequent projects, which are some of these projects right here. But then we have to wait for that 6 to 8 month period for them to be able to study it. And I don't necessarily know. I don't want to say we won't be able to build it, but I don't necessarily. By that point, it will be past October, and it will give other people an opportunity to build. So, Evan, I think I got everything.
Thanks. Yeah, I think you did a good job, Scott, of describing it. I would just add, in case we hadn't previously discussed it, that the whole system is removable. It's a temporary thing. It's affixed to the ground with I-beams. You described, Scott, there's no concrete affixing those I-beams to the ground, and they can be pulled out of the ground, and the property can be used for agricultural use or some other use at a future date. And I'd also add that we want you to like it. You know, we've made some changes to increase setbacks and increase screening to make it aesthetically more pleasing to certain neighbors. And if there is other things we can do to improve the project, we'd be more than happy to cooperate.
Great. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. We could go through the project however you see fit for continuing to go through the projects one by one, or if you have any questions, feel free to let Evan or I know, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Anybody, board member, have a question, anything you want to look at now before we start the public hearings?
At this point.
Okay. Before I open the public hearings, I'm going to go over several of the rules of procedure. If you wish to speak for any of the 5 public hearings, please sign up on the sheet located at the entrance of the public meeting room for the particular hearing or hearings you are interested in. When called to speak, please come to the podium. State your name and address for the record. Speakers will have 3 minutes for comments, and a timer will be used to monitor your time. Please understand that the purpose of the public hearing is not for discussion with the board. It is to make comments you wish for the board to consider. When speaking, please address the board and not the audience. Please be respectful of everyone's comments, and we ask that no applause occur due to the interest of time. We thank you for attending and making your voices heard. Morgan?
Okay, so these public hearings will start with the Richmond Hill project. I'll read the notice of public hearing. In accordance with Section 15.2.2204 of the Code of Virginia as amended, and pursuant to Section 15.2.2310 of the Code of Virginia as amended, the Richmond County Board of Supervisors hereby gives notice that a public hearing will be held starting at 7 p.m. Thursday, September 9th, 2021 in the Richmond County Public Meeting Room, 101 Court Circle, Warsaw, Virginia, 22572, to receive public comment on the following. Application from Impact Power Solutions for a special exception permit in order to allow construction of a community solar facility located on tax map 25-62, Richmond Hill Road, and Martins Valley Lane. On the screen, Scott just mentioned it. This is the project for consideration right now.
Okay. Do you have the?
I do have the public hearing sheet. Do you want me to call or do you want to call?
You won't call if there's anybody interested in speaking on this one.
I believe our only speaker for this one is Michael Self.
Hello, I guess y'all know me by now. Michael Self, 553 South Lane Farm, Virginia. I'm the trustee for the Self Properties Business Trust, one of the trustees that owns the property. Morgan, were you gonna explain the tax benefits and stuff to the, or area, to the room now or later? Or?
You want me to answer? I said, do you want me to answer?
Oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not-
I'll be glad to go over them, you know, at a time if the board wants me to go over them. We've got them prepared if somebody wants to go
I
over.
thought you were, but I didn't know if the public wanted to hear that before the comments, but if not, I'll just make my comments now.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
All right, this one project, I don't think we've had hardly any comment one way or the other. This is the top one, most important on this queue, from what I understand. Y'all don't know, it's off of Martin's Lane. It's a private road that Cell Properties owns part of the road. One house within 300 foot, it's Ralph Simmons junkyard area. Alderman's saw shop business, it's noisy, electricity use, and a junkyard. I don't see why anyone could have any problem with this one, since we have a lot of people here tonight. I won't spend a lot of time talking on this one, but just want y'all to consider it. Thank you.
Is that the only one?
That's the only one.
No one else wishes to speak on this project? If not, I'll close the public comment on this project. Any board member have any questions or comments before we? Okay, move on to the second one.
The second public hearing tonight is for an application from Impact Power Solutions for a special exception permit in order to allow construction of a community solar facility located on tax map 25-42, Richmond Road and Mulberry Road. Site plan is coming up on the screen now. This is project number 2. Be happy to answer any questions you have for me about that project or Scott.
Anyone have any questions before I open the public comment? Do we have anybody? If not, we'll open the public comment on this one.
First speaker signed up is Amy Dyer.
My name is Amy Dyer. My driver's license address is 2612 Huntington Road, Charlottesville, Virginia. However, I own property in Richmond County. My family owns 11116 Richmond Road. It's tax map 2535. I'm speaking because I am excited about this proposed solar project. It's going to be located right behind the land that we've just purchased. I think the project is a great opportunity, and I ask for your support. There's numerous properties in the current area that already have solar panels, and we are interested in adding more. We're looking to put them on their house and in the surrounding yard. We have purchased about 32 panels that look very similar to this. And after we get them installed and see how it goes, we're gonna look to see if we can purchase and add some more. Because there's already so many in the neighborhood and we're adding more, we feel like this is gonna make it an easy decision, and we welcome the solar project and we hope for your support. With the proposed solar project, they're offering a setback for the fence and trees that are going to make the panels less noticeable than the ones that you can currently see from the road and that we're planning on installing. In addition to the visual aspect, I'm excited about the environmental benefits of the trees that's added for the community. Solar energy is clean, quiet, and eco-friendly. There's a large need for this alternative source to help meet the growing need for electricity demand. I worry there'll be a time that the power to the northern neck will be disrupted by either hackers, natural or man-made disasters, and I think we'd be in a much better position if at least some of our electricity is sourced locally. The solar project will not only produce the needed electricity, it will also add tax revenue for the county, new job opportunities, and bring money into our small community.
We can't hear.
Can't hear.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was almost done, so that's fine. Like I said, it would bring the tax revenue for the county, the new job opportunities, and more money into the community. In my opinion, it's a win-win for everyone, and I support the project, and I hope you will as well.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Michelle Hodges.
Hi, good evening. I'm Michelle Hodges. I get my driver's license at 6721 Bulkley Road, Morton, Virginia. I also own property in Richmond County with our family. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the family that owns the building lot in Haynesville on Richmond Road, next to the post office. It's tax map 2671. The proposed solar project will join our lot on two sides. I've spent 2 decades with the Army in finding and purchasing emerging technology to support the warfighters. We've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in researching and testing alternative energy sources to ensure their safety. All the equipment that we field over the years has incredibly increased the capability, but also significantly increased the amount of power needed for them to fight on the battlefield. We're upgrading our combat vehicles with hybrid electric engines, not only to reduce the fuel needs, but also to serve as power generation for all the sensors that the soldiers use. In addition, we've worked hard on batteries that actually conform to the shape of the soldiers' bodies and fit within their vests. And they provide continuous charging for all the sensors that they carry, the sights and everything they use on the weapons. At the end of the day, our goal is to make sure that the soldier has the power when he needs it. Solar projects like this will do the same for the entire community. I'm here to give my full support and ask that you do the same for several reasons. One being that we should all be supporting this clean energy. Green, anything that can be done to reduce the pollutants going to our air by coal electric should be done immediately. This makes the environment safer and healthier for everyone. Next, I believe that solar is very safe, quiet, non-polluting, easily accessible, and with the setbacks and tree planting, it will hardly be noticeable after the short construction period. I'm more concerned with the several vacant, overgrown lots and buildings that are in disrepair in this area and an eyesore. And this project is certainly more appealing than the 30+ homes that the lot was previously zoned for. With the increasing demand for electricity, it would be in everyone's best interest to have electric power produced here where we need it, instead of hoping that the power companies will send it here if they have extra when a crisis happens. I also understand that will have a very positive impact on the Richmond County tax base. This alone will help reduce our tax rate. It should slow or postpone any increase that we all know will be coming. Not only the taxes, but any new money coming in our area will be turned over several times, helping numerous people, and also taxed several times along the way. One thing I've learned in my dealings through the Army is that the financial benefits are greater when we adopt emerging technology early instead of following the pack. It's much better to lead the strategy than to chase after the opportunity. Solar projects like these are being initiated nearby in several states, and we need to support this opportunity now while the terms are so beneficial for the entire community. Thank you.
Next speaker is Cassie Taylor.
Hello, how are you guys? Hi, my name is Casey Taylor. I live at 166 Chevy Place, Farnham, Virginia. I'm here this evening to give my support to the solar farm projects in Richmond County. The surrounding neighbors may think and see this as a depreciation or unsafe to the property, but in reality, in my opinion, I feel that the individuals who are objecting this should look at the positive side. Solar panels are the next big thing, and they have become favored and approved in the surrounding counties. I personally know other solar farm owners in Westmoreland County and King William County. Look at the solar farm on Broadus Flats, all the way to Mechanicsville. It's definitely not an eyesore. I'm a firm believer that the solar panels are reliable, safe, clean, smoke-free, environmental friendly, and a much better way to produce energy. God gave us a sun, and we're turning it into something good. I'm not concerned about the appearance of the panels, as there are many ways to hide it with the setback requirements, trees, hedges, fences, etc. Who wouldn't want to support a healthier environment? I have 2 young children. I want the best for the younger generation and the future generations to come. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Mike Self.
Hi, I'm Mike Self. I live at 400 Self's Lane, Farming, Virginia. My family owns a parcel of land that joins this proposed solar project, tax map 2544. And I would like to give this my full support. Solar is a clean, safe, environmentally friendly energy source. With all the advances that we have with electric cars, even though equipment's coming out electric, we're going to have a more demand for electricity, and it's going to overload our current capacity. Solar is the most logical answer to our future electrical needs. A few places in Haynesville have already started. Haynesville Correctional Center has hundreds and hundreds of solar panels. Mr. Clark, right across from 360, he has them on the shed. Even the coaches that join post office have solar lights at the end of their driveway. It's a clean, safe energy source, and it's going to bring extra tax revenue into our county and bring in new money with new jobs. And I think this solar project is good for everyone, and we should all support it. Thank you.
Next speaker is Dawn Taylor.
Hi, my name is Dawn Taylor. I live at 129 Chevy Place in Farnham, Virginia. I give my full support for the solar power projects. Some may view it as an eyesore, however, they are becoming more and more popular in the surrounding areas for a good reason. And I think this is a great way to use the Earth's natural energy from the sun, and it's way healthier than the regular forms of energy we use now. In just 1 hour, the Earth receives more energy from the sun than the whole world does in 1 year from natural resources polluting the environment. We should also take into consideration that natural resources like coal, oil, and natural gas will not last forever. And for those who fear of being able to see these in our area, I would not be concerned seeing that there are plenty of ways to hide it, and why not support a healthier environment for generations to come. Thank you.
Next speaker is Michael Self.
Hello, Michael Self from 553 South Lane, Farm, Virginia again. I get up here a lot of times and forget what I'll say, so I try to make some notes this time, and this one will probably be the longest one. I'll keep everything else short. But like I said before, I'm one of the trustees that own this parcel of land. I don't own it. It's not my project. IPS Solar's doing it. I'm just a trustee that agreed to rent the parcel to them. So again, it's not mine. I trust IPS Solar. They said that, like I said, they've been in business since 1991 doing this. They have a proven track record. They know what they're doing. This solar gardens, as they call, I think it was in June in 2020 that Virginia passed a law just to allow them. So of course they knew. You haven't seen any because they hadn't had the time to come out yet. Solar's been on people's homes for years in different places, but you either got the 1,000-acre projects or the rooftop. This is something new, exciting and needed. And I forget the guy's name, forgive me, but the CEO of Dominion Power, I had a chance to talk to him when he was at the Wrong Bad meeting a few months ago at Little Neck Electric. He said he's very excited personally, and the company, they're looking for these 2 to 5 megawatt projects to really help them meet their goal of becoming, they call it carbon free by the year 2035. So he's excited that the possibility that Richmond County is going to allow this. And like other people have said, with the increasing electric demands, I've got a bunch of pictures. I won't bore you with them, but it's bulldozers, tugboats, okay, electric cars with the solar panels on the roof. You're going to be at Walmart. It's going to be a solar panel parked right beside you in the next lot. 2 different car companies are doing that. I forgot to take my last time. You think this is crazy? Airplanes. You're going to go on an airplane ride that's electric. Where's all this new electric energy coming from when they're blowing up the coal plants and shutting them down? We need to make a lot more electricity for the new needs, and we're reducing the plants we have. It has to be, I said before, solar, hydro, or wind. We don't have the wind, and I don't think we're going to have the water capacity. I'm very interested in seeing if we can dam up some of the small streets and creeks and get some hydro, but I don't know. That'd be next step. Even homeless shelters have got solar panels on tents keeping people warm in the winter. RV campers, when you go camping, they got them on the roof to charge as you go in. This is a refrigerated tractor trailer. The reefer runs off electric. They got solar panels on the reefer itself. While it's going down the highway or parked at the loading dock, it's recharging the batteries. This is going to be going right down the highway beside you. So it's just coming. It's just submarines, electric submarines. You have to charge them up sometimes. It's just anyway. Just one after another after another. We're growing demand for electricity. We're blowing up, shutting down, deregulating the coal-producing facilities. We have to have a different source of electricity. Solar is say the greatest. The best alternative I've seen, I know of, and I've found, and I ask for your support in passing these projects. Let's see what we got.
Michael, you need to wrap it up.
Okay, man, it went by fast. 48 school districts had solar panels on them. Jails have them, prisons have them. I've got 2 more pages. How much time I got?
You run out.
Well, I had 3 more pages. But anyway, don't get to the point. Thank you. That was a quick 3 minutes.
Last speaker signed up for this particular public hearing is P.J. Haney.
Good afternoon. My name is P.J. Haney. I'm a fellow farmer and landowner here in Richmond County. And I am here in support of my fellow farmer and landowner here of this project. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a critical intersection of energy and agriculture. There are currently 7 billion people on the planet right now. And by the year 2050, we're projecting 9 billion people. We're going to need energy to support that demand. And then, of course, we're going to need food. But at the same time, I think when we look at the climate smart farming practices that we're using, we're just coming on the wrath of some climate change that we're seeing. I think this is an opportune time for us to really sit down and look at what we need to support what's coming and the demand we have for the future. Clean energy is a source that we need to really support, and I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
Signed up.
Okay. No one else? We'll close the public comment. Anybody on the board have anything they want? If not, we'll move on to the third one.
Our third public hearing tonight is an application from Impact Power Solutions for a special exception permit in order to allow construction of a community solar facility located on tax map number 25-44, located adjacent Nutrient Ag Solutions. Site plan is on the screen. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have for me about that project or Scott from IPS.
All right, if there's no questions from the board, we'll open the public comment period.
First speaker is Mike Self.
Myself, 400 South Lane, Farming, Virginia. My family also owns property that joins this proposed parcel, and I fully support it. It's clean, reliable, environmental friendly energy. The farmland in Haynesville is not very productive. It's very sandy. It's not great farmland. We'd be better off to harvest sun from it, to make solar, to make better energy for what we're going to need. So, thank you for your support, and I hope y'all support it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker is Michael Self.
I'll just be quick on this one. I got to page 3. It's one note I want to do on the other one. like we said, we as the county has approved possible 1,000-acre tract status project down Farnham, Mayon Road, and area, whatever you want to call it. And then North Neck Electric has a small project up here at Red Hill, but I don't know the exact term. Anyway, my point is, how can you ask the citizens in that area to support it, be okay with it, it's good, it's healthy, it's not hurting anyone. The people up there's got to be okay with it. And then you pick one section of the county, and then you have questions, you don't know if they should look at it or not. The 300-foot setback, the 2-3 rows of trees, 2 or 3 years you won't even know it's there. It's quiet, it's no noise, it's no smoke, it's no stink. It's one of the best neighbors I think I could have. I just don't understand people not wanting it, considering how clean it is, environmentally friendly, the tax benefit to the county, and the revenue is bringing in. Like someone said, it's going to be used over and over and over. Every time you bring a new $1 million in, that gets turned over in tax, turned over in tax, turned over in tax. It's a windfall for the county. It's great for the environment. It's great for the future generations. I mean, if everyone doesn't start doing a little something soon, I thought it was a joke, this climate change stuff, the hurricanes, the tornadoes. I remember 30, 40 years ago, you got one tornado every 50 years. Now it's like every year someone I know has been hit with a tornado. Something's doing it. You know, we live in a bubble. The atmosphere can only stand so much pollutants. And I think we've reached a point that we start to affect our own environment. So, for those reasons and many more, I'd ask for your support on this project too.
Next speaker on this project is Harry Smith.
Harry Smith, 1152 Tennessee Church Road, Haynesville, Virginia. Was on the planning commission when I come in here, and I brought up the potential, I'm going to say potential, for fire near a fertilizer plant. Now, I know that could this affect the surrounding homes, but also the community as a whole. Probability may not be great, but the potential is there. Working for a utility company, electric company, for 48 years, and going to fires and stuff. The fire department head to those places cannot put the fires and stuff until electricity is off, because it's a danger to them. If you get into this situation and the grass gets in there and it gets over into that fertilizer plant, you don't know what might happen. And that's one of my main concerns with this project of the utility company not getting there to be able to allow the fire department to go in there and do what they need to do on that one. Two other things I've heard when I was up here. One was the benefit of electricity to the Northern Neck. My understanding, this goes on the grid, not just the Northern Neck Electric. It's not here just for Northern Neck, for Northern Neck. It goes on the main grid for serve everything. Second was the potential of not losing electricity. Well, these things attached to the lines. The lines is what comes down during storms, trees, broken poles and stuff, not the substations themselves. So I just want to let you know those two things, just to bring you up to speed. Having worked for a utility company, I know what causes the outages. It's not the substations, it's the trees that goes down through the storm, that goes on the lines and broken poles. So I just wanted to make sure that you were fully aware. Thank you.
Last speaker signed up for this public hearing is Ricky Haney.
Good evening. My name is Ricky Haney. I'm a farmer and a landowner in Richmond County, and I'm here to support this project and to support solar. I know, people are always skeptical when change comes about, but we must not fear change, but embrace it. If we hadn't changed from the way our ancestors lived, where would we be as a county and as a country? Solar is clean. And I think we need to know that farmers are the best stewards of the land. Farmers have the ability to make the decision on what's best for their land. And as farmers, they're not going to put their best and most productive land into solar. by putting this land in solar, a lot of it is highly erodible. We're protecting shallow wells in the community. We're protecting the streams and the river to keep all of this nitrogen and Roundup and all of these things that are so toxic that people are complaining about. Just imagine if you take these acres and over 25 or 30 years, how much nitrogen and how much chemicals are going to go on the ground with the potential of a washing into streams. It would be just amazing. And I think this is the benefit. When we look at the world and the way things are going around, this turmoil in the Middle East with this Afghan, we can no longer depend on the Middle East and other nations for our energy supply. We must, as a country, become self-sufficient. I hope you will support this project, and thank you.
Thank you.
That was the last speaker.
Huh?
That was the last signed up speaker.
Okay. No one else? If not, we'll close this public comment period. Board have any questions, comments? All right, can we move on?
Fourth project of the night is an application from Impact Power Solutions for a special exception permit in order to allow construction of a community solar facility located on tax map 26-112, Drinking Swamp Road. This site plan is shown on the computer. Would also be happy to answer any questions you may have about it, or Scott from IPS that you may have for Scott.
Any questions before I open the public comment? If not, we'll open the public comment period.
Okay, I believe our first speaker is, it's not Dawn Taylor, is it? The check mark is between Michael Self and Dawn Taylor. I'm assuming it's Michael Self.
I checked up for it.
Okay, then it's Michael Self.
Once again, Michael Self, 553 South Lane. This project on Drinking Swamp, if you scroll up a little bit, across the road, it's like a 50-acre field. There's no houses across from it. Actually, a 300-foot setback down the highway is really taking the best hump of the land that would be great for solar and not using it. And I understand the county has developed like a set of rules and guidelines. This one I ask for your support, even though it's so far back, but I personally think it come on closer to the road, not hurry them. Anyway, get to my long speech again. One of the things with solar I heard people complain about is unsightliness. I don't remember it, I'm not quite that old, but 80, 90 years ago, my grandparents told me when the Northern Net got electricity, people were all in an uproar when the power company would put telephone poles down the side of the road, telephone power poles down the side of the road across the fields. It was the worst thing in the world. It was going to kill everybody. Yes, some people run into them accidentally and get hurt. Probably they should be buried, but that's just the way it was and the way it still is. With this broadband coming and wireless, I was seeing 10, 15 different wires hanging from power poles. It's here. It's just something you get used to. 20 years ago, when cell phones come out, they're putting up the cell phone towers. Everyone complained how unsightly they were. They didn't want them around then. I bet everyone in this room has a cell phone in their pocket now. Getting back to Mr. Haney, change is coming. You have to embrace it. I mean, I'm not saying change is always for the best, but with new technology, it brings new challenges, and we have to step up and meet it. The solar is clean, environmentally friendly. It answers one of our questions. And I see a lot of people in the room that's not saying anything. Everyone in the room that thinks solar's a good thing, just please raise your hand.
Michael, no.
You can't do that? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know the rules. Put your hands down.
You address us, not.
Didn't know that. Anyway, I ask for your support. Thank you. I didn't know that. Sorry.
Next speaker, I'm not sure what this says, Ashley Gray. Did you wish to speak? Okay.
Hi, my name is Ashley Gray. I live at 580 Bryanstown Road in Barnum. I'm here to give my full support to the solar project. I believe that solar energy is the future. Not only will it be energy efficient and eco-friendly, but the farms will also provide job opportunities for our community. There has been a lot of assumptions about solar farms polluting the earth, but if you look on the numbers, it's nowhere in comparison to the emissions from the vehicles that we drive every day. I know that the unknown is scary, But with the technology increasing every day, as Michelle mentioned earlier, it makes sense that solar energy is the next step. I hope you will give your support for this project as well. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Travis Burrell.
Good evening. My name is Travis Burrell. I live here in the town of Warsaw at 25 Town Center Way, Warsaw, Virginia. I'm here to give my support on behalf of solar projects here in Richmond County. As a former worker of 2 solar sites, one built by a company named Morrison in Locustboro, Virginia, where we constructed a massive 5,000-acre solar project that approximately 1.8 million solar panels sits on. From there, I moved to a company by the name of Wood, located in Louisa County, where we set approximately 230,000 solar panels on 1,500 acres of land. During my experience working with these solar companies, I've learned that solar is huge on safety first, maintains a clean and environmental friendly community, and not to mention much better way to produce electricity rather than coal plants that are not very clean, nowhere near as safe, and pollutes the air that is not good for us as humans. Whereas the solar projects are heading in the right direction that's all around made safe for us all. I recently read in a local paper a few months ago that a lady supposedly spoke for the old, young, Hispanic, white, and black community for being against solar. As a young black male that is very capable of speaking for herself, and assuming others feel the same way, she doesn't speak for me or anyone else. Sometimes we as people, individually or as a group, find ourselves way behind or missing out altogether by not being prepared for what we know is coming our way. We as a group here in the county of Richmond, let us not be those people. Let us support these solar projects and be well prepared as they are quickly making their way to our future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last speaker signed up for this project is Tammy Lee.
Good evening. My name is Tammy Lee, and I'm here. I'll be brief because I was listening as everyone spoke, and I could piggyback off of quite a few of them. But first, I believe that the solar project could be beneficial because we have the potential to offset the power that we consume. Solar power is safe, and it's a safer way to produce electricity than coal plants. It's more natural, and I believe that we should be doing everything that we can to reduce our carbon footprint. It will help reduce pollutants. It will not compromise the integrity of the land. And it could reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. It could reduce the potential of harmful pollutants. And it says that, and I actually looked up the information because I wanted to give an educated opinion. And it is a fact that solar panels' carbon footprint is 20 times less than coal-powered electricity sources. So I stand in full support of the solar project. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That was your last signed up speaker.
Okay. No one else? All right, at this time I'll close the public comment. Anything from the board? Not, we'll move on.
Last public hearing of the evening is an application from Impact Power Solutions for a special exception permit in order to allow construction of a community solar facility located on tax map number 32-32 off of Calvary Church Road. Site plan you see here, and again I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have or direct them to Scott with IPS.
Did you want to mention the trees to the road?
Yes, I will mention one thing on this site plan that's not reflected on this site plan that came out of the Planning Commission, and it's just an amendment that Evan and I talked about yesterday. The screening will continue down the parallel lines on the west side and on the northwest and the southeast sides. They will continue down to Calvary Church. So the way that the Planning Commission had asked in the conditions, so the front row of screening that would be parallel to Calvary Church will remain at that location, and then it will just spur along so that it extends all the way down to Calvary Church on the two boundary sides. If you're clear with with what I'm saying on that. So that's just a change that has been made. It's part of it. It just is not reflected on this site plan.
Okay. Any questions from the board before I open the public comment? Not, we'll open the public comment period on this.
One signed up speaker, Michael Self.
Microsoft, again, I know you guys already heard me, so I'll keep it brief. This one, Scott, and I guess Solid make many changes, just showing their commitment to helping the county or please the neighbors with the additional setback, the screening, and like Morgan's talking about on each side, they've agreed to extend, it's gonna be like 250 more foot of trees to get extra buffers from angle view coming down the highway, just driving by. So I just think IPS did a great job in screening this project, and actually also put on this one also. And I haven't heard anyone complain about this one that I know of, so thank you.
That's the only one?
That's the only signed up
No
speaker.
one else? All right, we'll close the public comment. Do we have anything, any questions, anything on any of them from the board?
Hey, Mr. Chair.
Yes?
Yes, got your papers in my way, I can't see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Comment. This is all public hearing, right? That's all?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'm ready.
Explain to me, and I think the other gentleman explained it a couple of months ago. Explain to me how the community solar farm works.
So
you put up the solar farm,
right,
and then people buy a piece of the action, or
the best way to describe it, and Evan always describes it better than I do, but I'll try my best unless Evan, you want to give it a shot. But the best way to describe it is you know how rooftop solar works with net metering? Yes. Essentially, you buy the panels, you put them on your roof, and then the meter spins both ways. And the amount of electricity that you produce comes back to you in the form of rebates off your electric bill. So now, these are big projects, so there are lots of megawatts, and we don't use any electricity, so we can't get that rate back off of our electric bill. So they've created special programs that allows us to essentially build these big projects on farms, and then we get subscribers who subscribe, and in exchange they don't pay anything, they just agree to virtually get the power from them. And in exchange for subscribing, we use their bill credits to essentially get the same type of deal as net metering. They're happy because it allows them, if they either don't have the money or don't have the space, it allows them to be able to take part of the solar initiative without having to buy the panels. And they're happy because they don't have to put any money out. We're happy because instead of getting that wholesale rate, which is what you see on those 1,000+ acre farms, we're getting the retail rate of electricity minus whatever the rebate is that we're giving them, which might be around 10% or something along those lines. So it's good for a lot of reasons. And really, one of the people that what we find are the subscribers are, I think, and Evan knows a lot more about this, but there's a certain percentage of subscribers that have to be in certain financial levels. So I think it's 30%. But in addition to that, a lot of the subscribe in poverty levels, so that they can take part of it. That's one of the conditions of the program. And Evan could correct me if I'm wrong on that. But municipalities are really one of the biggest subscribers, and the reason is because you got to find people that often aren't going to be moving and are going to be using power for a long time, for many years. So municipalities and schools are generally like the perfect candidates for that, because I'm not sure how long this has been in the county building, but you're always going to need to have a county building. You're always going to need to have a sheriff's department. So that's one of the benefits, and of course with this program it's going to be also folks that are under a certain level of poverty for 30%, and really anybody that wants to subscribe, local businesses, stuff along those lines.
Thank you. I still don't understand.
You still don't? That's okay.
I can elaborate if it was.
Elaborate. Evan's better with the.
I thought you described it pretty well, but it's for people who don't have a good spot for solar panels. You know, that's what it is in its core. So when we put the power into the grid, we get a bill credit for that amount of power. You can call it a bill credit, you can call it a coupon, whatever, but it's an amount of power that you get to, that we put in to the grid. The utility will let you take that amount of power out somewhere else in the grid. So say you rent, say you rent your house and you want to do solar, you don't own a roof, how do you do it? Well, you can subscribe to the garden. You agree to buy the bill credit, and then you give the utility that bill credit instead of money, and then you pay into the garden.
Of course, it's a virtual thing, right? As you know, electricity travels through the path of least resistance. The people that are out actually getting the electricity are the substation, and then the substation on, and everybody in between the substation and where the solar panels are. So even though it's a virtual thing, it's the actual power from the solar panels are going to go to everything around that area.
It goes into the distribution network at the point of interconnection, which leads to the substation. So anybody who's on that line is getting power. But to the utility, water power is water power, or not like unique or distinct from one another. Does that answer the question, or I can get into?
Well, no, but I don't want to take up time on this public hearing for you to explain the economics. I understand that it goes into the grid and then it goes wherever it needs to go. I'm not sure that I understand if I'm paying you or whoever's the owner of these solar panels, paying you X amount of dollars to be a subscriber or whatever it is.
The best way to look at it, it's just a virtual thing. You don't pay anything. It's really the government is saying, hey, we got to get some of these solar panels up, and here's how we're going to do it. So we're going to do it by saying, you have a certain amount of retail rates that you have to give through these programs, and you have to get subscribers to subscribe.
Am I correct that your question is not about the economics of it? It's about the mechanics? Could you?
No, the economics of it is what I'm interested in.
Okay. So yeah, it's a way for I think what Scott's point was making there was about that we're really not in the power selling business. We're not a power producer like the large solar arrays that you see. They just sell power to the utility at whatever rate the utility is buying power at that particular point. We're basically a community of people that are building a solar garden on one spot. So all of these people who get the bill credits from it use it to offset their power on their bills, thereby reducing, the amount of money that they have to pay into the utility because they put that power back into the grid somewhere else. So because of that, the economics are different. It's about the people who want to do solar. It's this community of people. Does that answer your question? Or clarify, hopefully?
I'm not going to take up any more time. No, it doesn't. But I'm not very bright. But I'll pick on you after the meeting.
Absolutely, and I'll give you my cell phone number, and I'll give you Evan's cell phone number.
Yeah, we can talk about it. It's a new program, so it's
not nationwide, just new in Virginia. It's been in Minnesota and a bunch of other places as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Richard?
Yeah. I know this is a work session, no vote to be taken tonight, but I think all my questions have been answered. I would like to point out that we are at a crossroads with forestry, farming, and solar, and I agree with that 100%. And we need to give this every opportunity we can to make it work.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Not, we'll vote on this at our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Is it possibility we could, there's a time crunch, I think I understood. Is there a possibility we could reconvene a couple of weeks and maybe meet that time frame?
Will our next meeting meet y'all's time frame?
There is a time crunch by this October deadline. I know Evan could probably speak.
Yeah, so the program opens up October 1st, and it's first come, first served to the program. So we'd like to have the projects, a decision on the projects that we have begun to study with the utility, and that's the first and the second one. We would like a decision on the other ones too, but the time is not as much of the essence for those ones.
Do what about? 23rd. Richard, 23rd?
Well, if that meets all the advertising criteria, and what we need to do is a county board to, excuse me, my breath has gone, to try to accommodate if we could. It's not something we haven't done before.
Well, we haven't done it. We started to, but we didn't.
Regarding advertising, there would be no further advertising. This meeting would simply be recessed until whatever date the board chooses they want to come back into session. You can recess as many times as you'd like until the next regularly scheduled meeting. Of course, we would advertise it on Facebook, but not an official newspaper advertisement.
Because there won't be any comments, anything anyway.
There
It'll
will-
just be our vote.
It would just be the board's discussion of the project. Public comment on these projects are over.
But would that include votes at the time?
That would be the whole reason for that meeting.
Right, okay, I want to make sure I understood, since I'm not there in person.
Okay, you straight now? Straight as you can be?
I think I made my point, yes.
Y'all want to do 7? You want to do earlier? You want to do, tell me,
We talking the 23rd?
23rd? Is that all right with you?
Right now, I'll be in Charleston, on the that whole week.
Okay.
I'll be in Charleston, but I can do Zoom or something once we set the time.
What's the next week?
All right, Hope just told me we've got a wetlands board that night in this
Okay.
room. That would be at a 7 o'clock wetlands meeting.
7 o'clock. So maybe if we could do an early meeting.
Well, we could do it at 6. We'd be certainly not going to take an hour to vote.
And Zoom, Billy.
6 on the 23rd?
Okay.
Does that suit?
Fine with me. Suits our calendar as long as we're out of here by 7 for the wetlands.
Okay, well, I don't think it's going to take us an hour.
Okay.
I would hope it wouldn't take us an hour. All right, then we are in recess until 6 p.m. on the 23rd. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your comments.
I also want to thank the county, Morgan and Hope, for being really awesome to work with. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. I know everyone.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Hey,